welcome to the SVG TV News for Thursday, December 29th. I am Khalil Kato with the details. Today, the SVG Community College hosted a recognition ceremony for the first ever graduating class of the UWI's Franchise Bachelors of Science Nursing program. The recognition ceremony was held at the Villa campus of the college for 21 graduates of the nursing program, which started at the college in 2018. Director of the college, Nigel Scott, gave a brief overview of the program, which he says represents an element of the changing trends in the health sector.
And we kept being prodded on the board that while we continue to offer an associate degree in nursing, the World Health Organization and more recently CARICOM made the decision that the entry level into the nursing profession should be a bachelor's degree. And hardly a month went by when the chief nurse would not mention something in that line. The board made the policy decision to transition from the associate degree into the pre-RN bachelor's degree, because we've done the post-RN before. Several years ago, we did a cohort with UTEC under the 10th EDF, and we trained several nurses in the post-RN bachelor's. But we have not done the pre-RN bachelor's before. So the board made the decision and charged me as director, and I should mention that at the time the CMO was the chairperson of the board, made the decision, and I was charged with the responsibility of ensuring that the college transitioned its associate degree program to a bachelor's program. I then charged the acting dean at the time, Lucine Edwards, to ensure that that transition occurred. Sister Lucine Edwards and her team worked on a concept paper for that transition, indicating the international trends, the regional trends, and the reason why we needed to transition to the pre-RN bachelor's program. Scott
says having received the approval of Cabinet for the concept paper for a bachelor's program in nursing, they approached the School of Nursing at the UWI Mona campus in Jamaica to franchise their bachelor's program.
They sent a team to St. Vincent to take a look at our facilities, to take a look at our resources in terms of lecturers, potential lecturers, our library resources, and other things that we would have to offer before they could franchise that program to us. We got the word in 2017 of the approval to franchise the program from the University of the West Indies School of Nursing, Mona. And we began the process of advertising. It's an online application to the School of Nursing at Mona, a UE application, and out of that application process, our recipients today, among a few others, were successful in becoming batch number 1 of the Bachelors of Science in Nursing at the St. Vincent and the Grenadines Community College.
Scott noted that the tuition and registration fee for the 4-year Bachelors in Nursing program carries a total cost of $30,000 EC, with the college absorbing a third of the total and the students taking on 2/3, or just under $20,000.
And so they represent really the first group of full-time students that are paying tuition. But when you accompany that with the fact that they also get a monthly stipend of $1,000 a month, you can do the math. Doesn't mean that it's easy. It doesn't mean that it's easy, because all of these students do have their struggles financially and otherwise. But that's why we are here, and that's how we got here. Initially as a policy decision, and now we have the first batch of graduates from this program. They are UE graduates, and their names would have been on the UE Mona graduation booklet and program a couple of months ago. Today, we want to recognize them for their accomplishments, not only at the bachelor's program, but also for their 100% passes for those who wrote the October sitting of the regional exam for nurse registration.
In congratulating the first cohort of students on the UWI's franchise Bachelor of Science Nursing program, the SVG Community College Director commended their families and lecturers for the support offered towards their accomplishment. While wishing everyone a peaceful, secure, and prosperous 2023, Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonsalves on NBC Radio's Face-to-Face program yesterday said while there are a lot of things on the plate nationally, as a government, they also have to look at what is happening in the various communities. And he addressed what he terms as 3 bundles of consideration for us as a people and a nation to do better in 2023.
The bundles of considerations revolve around the activities of the state, that is to say, the government and all the state agencies, the market, that is to say, the economic system, involving the private sector, the cooperative sector, and the state, the market mechanism, and of course the third limb, the third pillar, is the community. There is often a lot of discussion and policy issues relating to the functions of the state, how the state is performing, how the government and the state institutions are working. And there's discussion too about the various dimensions of the market economy.
The Prime Minister says the state, its agencies, and the community must work closely together, with every individual having a role to play for progress to be made in a sustained manner.
If we don't play our role in solidarity with one another, our progress is going to be restrained. Johnny P., if you take any newspaper and or any reportage, people on the radio, I've been advised the same thing which happens extensively on Facebook. The preponderance of the discussion is that what can the government do more and better? What can the state institutions do more and better? And that's an important discussion. There is also about what the market economy is doing. Is the market working properly? Is it working optimally? Is the market economy unfair? Is it, in certain circumstances, even oppressive of people? Are businessmen fair to their employees and to the consumers, to the environment? Are the workers given a fair day's pay, a fair day's work honestly for a fair day's pay? And there's discussion about those things. But I don't know, Johnny P., if you find that there is a sufficiency of discussion in relation to the community. What should the community do? What the community can.
Encouraging community togetherness, PM Gonsalves urges each individual to be in connection with one another and to behave in a manner in which due consideration is given to the community's interest.
Love thy neighbor as you love yourself. That's where the proposition comes from. But that proposition didn't just arise out of nowhere. It arose divinely, but out of the way human beings interact with one another. And what should be the quote-unquote the good life or the better life, working together with each other. And all of us, we are on the metaphoric dangerous road to Jericho. And we have to be good Samaritans. That is in the... I mentioned the Old Testament, I come to the New Testament. But those who don't believe in quote-unquote Almighty God, the sovereign divine being, will know from history that we do not achieve anything which is lasting unless we do so in communion with other persons, in community with other persons in the society. So that's the first thing at the individual level, and to do our best. And we have to operate on the basis that from each, according to his ability, and to each is given according to his work. Of course, because persons are finding it very difficult with the extent of their abilities or work, that you have to have social safety nets to help to supply needs. That's where the community, that's where the family, that's where the market, that's where the state comes in.
The Prime Minister says the family also has a role to play in nation building by inculcating uplifting values in the young ones.
And we see across the country thousands and thousands of mothers and fathers and grandmothers and grandfathers doing that. And these individuals overwhelmingly in the families are hard-working, disciplined, loyal to their country, law-abiding. Of course, there is a tiny minority which is just bent on criminality and greed. And as I said before, they will end up, okay, they may make some money in the short term, but they're likely to end up in jail or likely to end up dead at a relatively young age. The evidence is before us, Johnny P.
Yes.
So we have to deal with the individual. Has to be a social individual. There has to be the family. And family values don't have to be conservative, you know, Johnny P.
Right.
In the sense of being backward.
Right.
All they have to be is uplifting of the individuals and the family and the community, and be in social solidarity with one another. And then, of course, we have the schools, and the teachers have important roles. The children, the young people spend a lot of their waking hours with the teachers. And the teachers, in addition to teaching the subjects, have to teach themselves.
Meanwhile, a resident of Paul's Lot or Paul's Avenue would like to see the social issues in the community addressed urgently and is calling for the involvement of the church and social workers. The resident, who wished to remain anonymous, said that it's about time the root of the problems affecting the residents, especially the youth, is tackled.
I don't know what it is with the young men, but people just need to look beyond the Paul's Avenue and try to see if they could get into the minds of these young people and see what's going on with them. I don't know what's going on with them, but like the people in social work and like pastors and so, they need to come and like talk with the people and see if they could get into their minds and see what is going on. But I don't know what is going on. I see them every day like normal human being. You know, they don't trouble me, I don't trouble them, they don't interfere with people passing by here. I don't know what is up with the young people. Maybe social media.
The concerned Paul's Avenue resident says hearing gunshots in the community is a norm that should not be. She said despite the negative perception of the community, it has produced quality citizens. However, she feels the younger generation needs to turn to God.
I was born here, and I mean, I have no problem living here. If I was to trade here for anywhere else, I would not. They have good footballers, they have good architects, they have doctors come out from in here, they have nurses, they have myself who is avid dance teacher, they have Miss SVG contestants. They have a whole lot of good things, but these guys who coming in here making trouble, they're not from in here. Really and truly, I would like to see the young men them really study God's word. If they study God's word, they will be more protected Because it's only God could really protect, you know. Is He keeping them still? So they need to just study God's word.
And police in the South Central Division have launched an investigation into the discovery of a decomposed body in Simon, Bayabu, yesterday. Police say the identity of the deceased is unknown at the moment and that a post-mortem examination is expected to be carried out to ascertain the exact cause of death. Persons with information that can assist with this investigation are encouraged to contact the Assistant Commissioner of Police in charge of crime at telephone number 457-1211, extension 4816. The officer in charge of the South Central Division at 458-4200, or any police station or police officer you're comfortable speaking with. All information received will be treated confidentially. Investigations into the matter are ongoing. Speaking on the recent homicides in the country on NBC Radio yesterday, Prime Minister Gonzalez says he met on Tuesday in a session with the leadership of the RSVG police force, chaired by the Deputy Commissioner of Police, who briefed him about additional steps the police intend to take to deal with the crime situation.
The police are not responsible for the criminal, for the homicides. You know what I mean, Johnny P?
Right.
But their work can aid in the detection and the gathering of the evidence, and certainly in deterring people.
Yes.
Huh?
Yeah.
So, in fact, on after the night, after the killing which took place for the young man Charles in
Paul's Avenue.
the Paul's area, I decided to go about several different places there, because I wanted to make observations for myself about certain matters. You know?
Right.
Mainly for me to see the extent of the police presence now.
Okay.
At different places, and the extent of the patrols. Because in addition to getting reports about them, I wanted to see myself. And I've briefed the Deputy Prime Minister.
The 2022 Nine Mornings Festival was very successful. This is according to the chairman of the National Nine Mornings Committee, Orandi Bomani Charles, in a telephone interview with SVG TV News today.
We were able to meet the objectives we set in our organizing meetings held earlier this year, mainly focusing on sort of returning the festival back to some semblance of normalcy after the challenges encountered in the last 2 years, pandemic-wise, volcanic eruption-wise. We placed a lot of focus on trying to get persons to venture out into the communities outside of Kingston. There were a number of communities, over 50 communities participated in either Nine Mornings or Christmas evenings or community light-up activities. And we're pleased to see the level of support given to those communities and the organizations within those communities that organize those activities. We're also very happy with the turnout and support for the 9 nights of lights at the Botanical Gardens, and we are generally pleased with the level of support given to the Christmas festival overall, and hopefully we're able to continue this momentum going forward.
Charles says he is already anticipating next year's festival as they are hoping to put a modern touch to the traditional activities.
Well, we are currently still sort of settling some of our obligations for this year. We're still kind of dealing with this year's festival. We have prize giving coming up in a couple of weeks for those communities individuals who would have won in our community light up competition, the Vinlek Community Lighting, Christmas Lighting Competition. And we are also set to have our review meeting with the committee members and stakeholders. We've already identified areas that we would like to see improvement in, looking at innovation and generally maintaining the heritage and the tradition of the festival, and hoping to marry those traditions with a modern approach. So we'll be having those discussions shortly, and as we prepare for 9 Morning 2023.
The Hull Residence and Villa has been awarded the Best Lit Garden in this year's National Lighting Competition. Speaking to SVG TV News, coordinator of the lighting display, Cecil Mackey, says that last year the garden placed second and they were determined to be on top this year.
So we put in the necessary effort and we were indeed rewarded. If I can indicate a number of different aspects that led to us being victorious this year, we have a very, very solid team, and the guys and gals, we have been working together for over 20 years. We started at the roundabout. We did a few years at the roundabout. Then we moved to the CESPA West headquarters. We did another few years there. And then we moved to the Villa Top Hull's residence. And this is the 3rd year we're here. So that team has been together. We don't only come together to do the lighting program. We lime together every weekend. So we are friends. And this group that came together to do the light up this year, over 20 persons. So that is very significant in terms of our success over the years, because we have won more times than we have come second or third in the light up competition for Best Lit.
Mackey commended his team for a job well done, noting that without their hard work, the garden would not have won the category of Best Lit Garden 2022.
Celebrating, we're continuing the celebration. And even as we continue the celebration, we're looking ahead. What do we do for next year? Because we have had a number of persons coming in to visit the garden before the results were announced, and after the results were announced. The persons come to see how we won, why we won. And from the feedback we're getting from persons, they're quite satisfied in the effort that we put and what is reflected here in the garden at Villa Top. So I think all in all, we are absolutely, completely satisfied. And I must mention here that there are a number of business entities and individuals who come forward year after year to support our effort. And we want to say thanks to them. Thanks to the community in general. Some persons just come from day to day and lend a helping hand, not part of the team, but they still come and lend a helping hand. And we are happy that at the end of the day, on judging night, we were able to pull the team together and take a nice big photo shoot of the persons who contributed to the hard work and the end result that you see here. So all in all, I think we are absolutely delighted to have put in the hard work, to have provided something that persons could have passed by and really been inspired and reminded that Christmas is here. And at the end of the day, we are delighted to have won the Best Lit Garden, and we are going to defend our championship next year.
Before making a resolution for 2023, Vincentians are being encouraged to assess and reflect on their accomplishments and delays from the previous year. The encouragement comes from psychologist Dr. Joselle Miller, who was on NBC Radio's Face-to-Face program this morning.
Yeah, we have to assess. We have to do that kind of stock taking, that evaluation. When you think of a business, really and truly, in order to plan for your next financial year and budget and so on, you have to know what worked and what didn't, because you don't want to go down the rabbit hole of losing more money, losing more investment. So even when you think of your life as that you are the CEO of your own life, that you are a brand in yourself, you have to ask yourself now, what is going to be necessary for me to develop and uplift my brand going forward? As opposed to having this thing that everything just happens to us. And that's a very dangerous place to be, where we think that we are so passively engaged in our own lives that everything happens. So I blame everyone else for what goes on in my life, and I don't really zone in on the choices that I've made.
Dr. Miller further advised people to set realistic and smart goals for 2023.
The thing is, it's good to have dreams and ideas about what you would want to achieve. The thing is, though, is that a dream, it has to be smart, it has to be specific, it has to be measurable, it has to be achievable, realistic, and time-bound. So when we are setting goals going forward into 2023, we have to now be mindful that there are things we did not achieve in 2022, and we have to answer the question why. Right. Because if we go blindly into setting new goals without looking at, okay, so I wanted to lose 20 pounds this year, I haven't lost any, but I'm going to set up myself to lose 30 next year. So if I didn't achieve the 20, how am I going to achieve the 30 if I don't make certain changes? And your goals now will have to be that you have some specific plans and ideas in terms of how you're going to go about achieving this particular thing.